Good morning, friends. Welcome to my kitchen. I have been outside all morning doing chores, and man, it is a cold one. It is so cold today, so I'm actually making myself some hot tea to try to warm up, and then I'm going to go outside and finish some things and kind of prep some stuff that I was just going to take you guys along for. So let's make some tea and let's get started. I'm making this hot cinnamon sunrise tea. It literally tastes like a Red Hot. Jeremiah made me some last year, and I've kind of been hooked ever since. I do this with some maple syrup. This with some maple syrup, and man, it hits the spot. So if you like Red Hot, you should get that and try it. I always feel like the hardest part about making my coffee in the morning is figuring out what cup to use, and that's also happens to be the case with my tea. So rundown of my morning so far, I've got sourdough that I've been working on. I planted the rest of my garlic. So I had done that garlic video with my sister, Lord, weeks ago, and I got all of it done except a small little section that I just forgotten about. And so I went out there this morning, planted that, kind of fixed some of the landscape fabric. I need to check on everything in the raised bed garden. We need to cultivate some beds today. I'm going to be harvesting some kale from the tunnel to be able to come inside and dehydrate for kale chips. So we've got a pretty busy morning on our farm. It's so funny too. I was talking with my friend Steve yesterday, Sunflower Steve, and we were talking about just how like crazy busy we are right now. And usually this time of year is when things slow down, but I guess just maybe because we, bought a new farm and we're like really in the thick of like just doing all the things. I don't feel like I'm any less busy now than I am in the summertime. And if anything, I feel more busy right now than I did this summer. But that's okay. I'm just going to embrace it. I'm going to take it day by day. I'm going to do what I can do. And so I just thought it'd be fun to take you guys with me. All right, so some of the things I need to do today is really just get an assessment of stuff in the garden. We have our first frost tonight. So obviously everything in the tunnel is going to be fine. I'm not worried about that. I've had the sidewalls down. I'll continue to keep the sidewalls down. Everything in there is good. But the raised bed garden, I need to just kind of do an assessment of and figure out. I have been asked several times if we're going to put a row cover on them, and I don't know. So we're going to go out there and we're going to see. I don't think I need to. I think everything's good and established where I'm okay. But I wanted to go down there and show you guys anyways because the garden's looking extra pretty. It had a light frost on it this morning and it was just so stunning. So pretty sure my tea's ready and we will head out there. All right, so you guys already know I love the summer, right? I mean, I love the summer. The garden in the summer is lush and full and something about just sweating your butt off. Like, I don't know. I love it. But as I have gotten older, I actually really appreciate this time of year. The fall and the winter has probably become, I don't know that I want to say it's become like my favorite like over summer, but I love it for so many different reasons. And I would rather bundle up than have to take off. And it's just not near as challenging. So the summer garden is amazing for obvious reasons, right? I mean, like I said, the garden's lush. There's just so much abundance. However, the winter garden is just so special and it has such a special place in my heart. And part of me thinks too that it's because everything else is dead, right? I mean, so you have the trees that aren't just lush and full, like you've got all the leaves falling off the trees, and it's like you look around and you don't see a whole lot of life, but then you come to the garden and it's just springing forth with life. And for me, it's super encouraging in the dead of the winter, which is one reason, I was intimidated by a fall and a winter garden for many years when I had just started growing food. But then when I realized how sad I was in the wintertime because I didn't have my garden anymore, I realized, hey, I gotta figure this thing out. Like, I gotta start growing food year round for so many different reasons. And so I'm so glad that I did. And I was happy to find that it was way easier than I thought it was gonna be too. So that was really nice. And now I've got this beautiful full garden that I can't wait to show you guys. And it's just the time too where I just want my cup of tea, I want my hot coffee, I want a seed catalog and a fireplace. It puts you in a mood. Anybody else feeling the mood? All right, so I actually have been out here, but not like to inspect. I've been out here to admire the beauty, but not to really see like what I need to be working on. So definitely I need to be cultivating a bunch of beds. I really wanted to show you guys these zinnias though. Also wanted to show you guys all of my cabbages. Much to my surprise, these zinnias just keep hanging on. I mean, check that out. This little piece right here is like, oh, there's my reminder of what's to come in the summer. Look at that though, that just makes me so happy. All of my cabbages though, look at that, there's heads starting to form. They just are so big and lush. Another thing on my to-do list is we have so many beans to harvest. We'll just continue to freeze them like we have been. I did want to kind of dehydrate a couple of these and see how they tasted. They are literally so abundant. Oh my goodness. Look at that trellis, y'all. So pretty. The whole garden just looks so lush and full right now. I do have some of my plants that are taking a beating, like this. This kind of looks like a bok choy. But I'm leaving it because whatever pest is getting on it is only getting on this and really leaving my kale alone. So I'm okay with that. My chard out here is growing, but I want to show you guys. Okay, so I planted these on the same day. So this is my rainbow chard out here in the raised bed garden. I want to take you guys and show you what it looks like out in the tunnel. My goodness, it is warm in here. We actually put up a thermometer. Whoa, so it is almost 60 degrees in here. That is crazy. And it's probably, you know, 30s outside. So that's really, really cool. I'm glad we put this in here too, because it kind of just lets us gauge how warm the tunnel is getting. After looking at all of the stuff outside, I don't think I'm gonna put any row cover on anything. It's all good and established, and really like even the tender lettuces aren't like being affected by the cold, because it got pretty cold last night, like right above freezing. So I feel good about it. I can't believe we're officially having our first frost. So crazy enough, our estimated first frost was actually like October 27th, October 28th. Usually we're always, you know, we don't have our frost when they say we're gonna have our frost. And usually when we do have a frost, it's not like a hard frost. It's like it's a light freeze. It's not a hard freeze. And so that's just usually something that we expect here in Arkansas. I'm in zone 7B. And you know, until last year, we never really had harsh winters. We have very mild winters. And so it's one of those things that you never really know. But last year we had one of the, you know, coldest years we had in several years. And so I'm trying to like prepare for the worst this year, but also be like, well, it's only ever happened once, like literally in my lifetime, that we had a winter like we had last year. And so we'll see. But I don't think we're gonna have anything to worry about in the tunnel. All of the stuff looks so good. Everything in here is doing amazing. Can I have a drum roll, please? So I can show you guys the stinking chart in here. All right, here we have it. Look how much bigger this is in here versus outside. Just go ahead and take one off. Oh my word. Look at that. You guys know I have a bad tendency of doing like hand reference. Look at this for a face reference. This is insane. The coloring on it is absolutely stunning. We usually just saute. This is how we usually eat our chard. But look at that back there. I am so impressed too. I always think it's fun to do a side-by-side if you're growing things in a tunnel versus out in your raised bed garden, because it really is just so different how much better, and not even really, yes, it grows better because you're not dealing with usually as many pests and things like that, but just having the heat, how quickly it amplifies what you can grow and how quickly you can grow it. All right, I just had to show you guys the color one more time. Look at that. Yay! So I did go ahead and roll the sides about halfway up on the tunnel, because even though it is cold and it's probably, 39, 40 degrees right now, it's already 60 in there. And we're not even like to noon yet, where it's the peak of the sun yet. So I really don't want the tunnel to get above 70 right now, just because we have all those overwintered flowers in there. Really, that's kind of the ideal temperature we're gauging at. So instead of rolling the sides all the way up, I rolled them halfway up. I'll come back in tonight and put them down. Usually around like 4:30, the tunnel has got no more sun. And so that's just something that I'm kind of gauging and playing around and figuring out, because I have done this so many times. So let this be my little tip to you guys. When we lived at our old farm, I had row cover on my brassicas, and one day the sun was shining, but it was still really cold. And I thought to myself, Jill, you should go and like lift that row cover off. And I didn't. And because of that, I literally turned all of my cauliflower into just disgusting mush. It smelled so bad. I was so sad. I had like beautiful heads of cauliflower that were literally ruined because I just created like this little sauna for them. So that is something be mindful of if you are in a climate where it's getting cold and you have row covers on your brassicas or anything for that matter. If you have a day where the sun is out, maybe just lift that up for a little bit. Let some airflow get in there. Make sure you're not like steaming up any of your vegetables that you've worked really hard for. Lesson learned. Been there, done that. So I'm telling you guys, so you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. So I got those rolled up. We actually have these cranks that my friend put on for me, which makes it really, really easy for me to be able to do this by myself. Those were really cheap too. I think it was like $60 for both of them off of Amazon. And it's really easy. So everything in the tunnel looks good. Now we're on to our next chores. So now what I'm going to do though, is the things that I know won't be fine, and they were never meant to be fine. They're, not frost hardy. They're tender annuals. Is like my basil and things like that. I'm wanting to dry a bunch of those. My friend Melanie is wanting to dry a bunch of those. So what I'm actually going to do is go out into the raised bed garden and cut a bunch of those. I had a few sunflowers that I saved to just dry. I took the petals off and I have them hanging. I just want to dry the center. My friend uses those for wreaths. And that's something that I've never really done before. But I think it'd be cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get them and dry them in the case that I do have some spare time this winter to work on messing around with dried flowers. Then I'll be able to, and if I don't, then that's okay. And so I'm just going to go out there and do that. What you do anytime you're drying something is you just want to hang them upside down to dry. And so pretty much what that's probably going to look like is a bunch of random flowers in a bunch of random places at my house hanging upside down. And I'm not even mad about it. However, since this is something I am new to and learning about dried flowers, I want all the tips, all the advice, all the things. So if you've ever done that before, please tell me, what are your favorite flowers to grow to dry? I know we'll be growing things like Gumfrina this year, which is really good dried flower. Straw flower is really good dried flower. So I know some of the ones, but I don't know. If you have book recommendations, if you have just flowers that you've grown personally and kind of how they do dried or not, I'd love to know that. Also, I wonder if there's like a code way we can do this, because Nathan reads all the comments. He's going to be like, why are people telling you all these flowers? You do not need to buy them, Jill. Oh goodness, I know that is so bad. I am for sure going to be drying some of this next year. I've actually got to move this entire bed into the tunnel tonight. So this is the eucalyptus. I'm gonna just fill up our gorilla cart and haul it back there. These little things are doing really good though. All right, so behind me we have got Coral Fountain Amaranth. It's really bright, so I'll take you guys in and show you this a little bit better. But these were actually volunteers. So Jessica had amaranth planted in this long 48-foot bed, and they had just self-seeded, and I'm gonna try to dry these. Amaranth can get huge. They just have these long protruding little flowers. They're not even little, like they're just absolutely gorgeous, but these are really small, but they will not last if it freezes tonight, and so I'm gonna cut these. But I think it's so cool as I'm like walking through my garden, I just see all of these volunteers, and it makes me fall in love with what I'm doing, like just so much. One, I love growing food, right? Like, so that's awesome. But two, plants are freaking resilient. The fact that these just self-seed, they're growing literally in hard ground. They've got weeds all around them. They just push through. They persevere. I think that is like this. I'm always so mesmerized by nature and how amazing it is. So when I came out here the other day and saw these, like my little heart smiled because I was just like, oh yeah, absolutely. All right, now I get to really show you guys. I gotta find a good one though. I gotta find one that's kind of bigger. Check that out. Is that not so pretty? So these are used a lot in like bouquet arrangements because they're just stunning. I think Jessica probably just grew them for herself, just for her little home arrangements, which I will grow these next year for the same purpose. So what I'm doing is I'm just stripping them, and then I'll cut them all to the same length. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. I am leaving some of the foliage around the front that doesn't have pest damage, because if I am gonna use these for, you know, wreaths, I may want some of that to be fuller. So I don't know, I've never actually done this before, so I'm learning. I'm learning as I'm going here. So now that I've stripped them, just gonna kind of bunch them together here. And then what I'll do is just go through and cut them all at the same size. I don't recommend using your child's little scissors. I left my pruners somewhere that I can't find them, so I just grabbed what I had, which obviously isn't working very well. Ideally though, you take your pruners and your snips and you just cut them all at the same length. There we go. I think that's probably good. And then what I'll do is I'll tie a rubber band around it, and then oh, hi little ladybug. And then I'll just hang them upside down to dry in the house. So I actually want to go do that so I can show you guys some of the sunflowers I have hanging up too. Isn't this so stinking pretty though? I love amaranth so much. All right, let's go inside, tie these bad boys up. All right, I made it in. I just got a rubber band. Probably gonna tie it 3 times, and then I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna show you guys what I got going on. No judgment, okay? Okay? All right, so this is our window in the kitchen, and we have this up here to hang drapes on, and they have these little clips on them, but we don't actually like hang drapes, so I use those little clips to clip onto my rubber bands. So I've got my little heads of sunflowers drying over here. And then here's the amaranth, and that's kind of the plan, is just to fill all of these up of the dried flowers because those little clips are already on there, and that makes a lot of sense to me. So I absolutely love it, and that just makes my heart so happy. Oh, and I've got them over here too, so depending on how much I can harvest today, we may just be having dried herbs and flowers all over the house in every window, and that's okay. But I wanted to just take you guys with me today as I was checking on everything, preparing for the first frost of the season, getting some things done. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. It's always fun when I can just do my day-to-day things and bring you guys along for what we got going on. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.